First like to introduce Eleonora. Eleonora is a data analyst and former learner in the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator. She pioneered Project Diamond Lab to leverage the power of communication through immersive technologies, describing herself as an original and critical thinker with great leadership skills. She's passionate about combining innovative methodologies to improve the understanding of research findings in the world of data. I'll come to you, Eleonora, in a moment, but firstly, thank you and welcome. It is also my pleasure to introduce Adrienn, who has over 15 years of experience turning data into business solutions. She's worked as a financial business analyst, workflow and market analyst, currently taking a career break to focus on her studies in the Data Analytics Career Accelerator. It is my great pleasure to also welcome Adrienn. Welcome, ladies. It's brilliant to welcome you to this event for the benefit of not only the people in the audience, but those that will view this in the future. I do have a little icebreaker question that I'd like to pose to you first. I guess I'll start with Eleonora. Can I ask, what is your favorite word in another language and why?
So, hi everyone first, and welcome. So I'm not an English native speaker, so I remember when learning the word fluffy, I loved it immediately because I absolutely didn't need any kind of translation. I knew immediately what it was. I don't know how this is possible, but fluffy just conveys the idea perfectly.
I love it. It sounds like it is. That's
yes.
Brilliant. Adrienn, may I also ask your favourite word in another language and why?
I'm also not native English. I'm originally Hungarian, but I live in the Netherlands already like more than 20 years. And in the Dutch language, I have one favorite word, which is gezellig. And that is why is it very interesting word is that you cannot translate because none of the other languages exist this word. What is close to it in English is the nice, very cozy. If something is very cozy, then you say, but it's still not the same. So even if we speak in English, because I'm still at home, I talk English, but if I want to use that word, I put in the English sentence, I use the Dutch word because there is no fitting English one. So that is my favorite Dutch word.
Can you say that word once more for me?
Yeah, this is also difficult to pronounce because in the Netherlands I use this this word, but it's gezellig.
Wonderful, thank you. I might just ask Eleonora also, and then Adrienn, to just give a quick snapshot of your backgrounds before I'll ask about your decision to undertake the Career Accelerator. Eleonora?
So I come from academic research, and yes, after that I started my own project in AR and VR, still about communicating research results to audiences of any kind. And after that, I decided to, I've always been interested in data analytics, but I didn't have the specific background. So my research was about history of astronomy and mathematics, both here in the UK and in Italy. So I did come from humanities, but I also do have quantitative skills. And I found it really hard to find a job position in data analytics. So even if I could, go through the different techniques, there are tons of free courses online and so on. I'm also not very young. So I said, okay, let's invest. Let's make a strategic investment of time. So I want to reach a certain kind of knowledge in this given period of time, and I want it to be effective. And also I want to build a network and have support. So you'll find many courses around, and it's up to you to choose. But I would say that this is the strongest point of this course, being very focused on practical activities, being supported, building a network around LSE, which is also one of the best universities in the world, and it is very prestigious. And the support from absolutely plethora has been amazing, providing success managers and career coaches, and that's something that if you add it up all, it's going to make a difference. But I let also Adrienn talk. Sorry.
No, that's brilliant, Eleonora. I much appreciate that. And some of those points that you did touch on, we'll come back and revisit. But Adrienn, your background as well. I guess I'll twofold this question and dovetail it into, I guess, Eleonora's as well. How did you do? Your background first, but how did you decide on this course as being the best for yourself and your circumstances?
Yes, so I'm already working for quite some time. I have more than 15 years of data analysis experience. I've always been an analyst. I was first financial analyst and then market analyst. But I graduated way back, and in that time, the tool which we used for analysis was mainly Excel, and that was okay. But then throughout the years, the size of the data became bigger. And I also saw that the technology is more and more got advanced. So I felt the need to take a career break and take a time to learn these new technologies, which will help me in work to work with those big data sets, because I didn't know about Python, I didn't know SQL. I did learn Power BI via work, but then Tableau as well, I learned about it. And I found that I found this course, which I saw that it's very comprehensive, very complete course that I really needed to kind of upgrade myself to be a good data analyst in the current market.
Brilliant. Thank you both. And then that's amazing that you've obviously come across on your search. Hopefully our algorithms worked and our data analysis worked to find you in market. But then you went through a decision-making process. I mean, it's a bit hard at the moment, Adrienn, but I want to know, for the audience's benefit and for those considering their investment in themselves, what do you feel the return on investment will be in terms of, it's a bit hard to say in your circumstances yet about job outcomes when you're looking at that later this year, but in terms of practical learning and relevant learning that will enable you, do you feel to get the most appropriate role moving forward, what do you feel that return on investment will be?
Myself first, okay. The return of investment is exactly in that technical and not only technical but organizational and managerial experiences and knowledge that I got. I'm sure that my even now I updated my resume, and on LinkedIn I get way more already now, and I'm not actively looking, but I get a lot of requests already, which means, yes, I am now I have a correct background for this market. So I really increased my employability, and that is the most important for me.
Eleonora, also, I guess, and a little bit of a focus on yourself with the career coaching aspect of the support behind you. How do you feel, sorry, Eleonora, how do you feel that will pay dividends for yourself moving forward?
Yes, so basically, Adrienn is a career advancer and am I a career changer. So I did a complete switch. And yes, the career coaching tips have been helpful. So you're going to have common cohorts, career advice that is for everyone. The career coach was Adele Via, and those by themselves are very useful tips, like how to how to set your LinkedIn profile, how to reach out to people. She even handed us papers with just ready introductory period phrases, and then you will have the one-to-one career coaching, And for career coaching, I think you will need to find the right person for you. So, but there are a number of career coaches, so you have the possibility to choose your career coach.
Brilliant. It is a real point of difference in not only the business application of the learning, the practical nature of learning, but that support and the career coaching model is proving to be inspiring for many learners that have completed the program and are now advancing, commencing or changing careers. I did want to ask, I guess, on the topic of assessment. So there's no exams in this program, by design. How are you assessed for the benefit of the audience, and is that more practical? Does it enable you to, for example, build a portfolio of evidence?
Shall I go first?
Please do. Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned Eleonora.
So no, there aren't exams, but there are, let's say, at the end of every course, there is going to be a project you're going to hand, and that is going to be evaluated. And so let's say it's 4 projects in the end. So every course lasts a month and a half. At the end of that, every week you will build it up. So at the end of every week, you have these practical activities where you start building up your assignment. Yes, basically, you have 3 courses. The first is a kind of an introductory one about Excel and Tableau. On the second, you're going to go hard on Python. And on the third, it's advanced analytics. So it will be a lot of statistics and R, which it's fun. Trust me, it's the part I love the most. And last, the employer project, where they're going to assign you to a team together with your peers. And you are going to choose a project from a real employer, and you're going to develop your project and deliver it in a... It's very business center, what I feel about this course. And it is a business school, LSE. And also, it is very practical. So what I liked a lot was like, yes, there was the theory part. There was interaction with LSE lecturers and so on. But what really made a difference was like the support from the facilitator. In my case was Nora Wolf. Go and have a look at her LinkedIn page. She's a force of nature. I was so happy and lucky to have her as a mentor because she knows how to tackle. It was impressive, like every different kind of business problem you could give her, she would have an answer, and a very creative and elegant one, but very practical. So to me, it's like she was absolutely, I'm so proud I can say she was my mentor, and that is something else that is going to be on your LinkedIn profile and on your CV.
That is brilliant. For the delivery, Adrienn, and extending what Eleonora just mentioned about Nora's facilitated sessions, there's a lot of asynchronous learning, but tell us about those facilitated sessions if you can. There's one night per week. What time are they and how long do they go for example?
Yeah, so the facilitator is different than the success manager. Success manager is really coaching the students on get through the course, and the facilitators are more going into the content. And we had 2 facilitators. One is in the evening, I think it was at 7 p.m. UK time. And the other one was more at lunchtime. So that was on Thursday, always at 12 o'clock during lunchtime. And it was also very nice because there were 2 different type of facilitator. One in the evening was more who is giving high level overview and more more a helicopter view on the content, and really content technical in a technical way. And then the other one at lunchtime is a very different facilitator. He was more going into the details, like the coding And for instance, the statistical concept he would explain with a whiteboard online, on a whiteboard, in a very simple ways, but really in the details. So one is on high level, should be focusing on the content. The other is going into the detailed coding and really the detailed questions, which I found was really nice, because the two together, if you have time, you could attend both, and it's all of them are recorded, so you can always relook at it. But to have the two together was really nice, because they are not the same, but it was added value.
Fantastic. Thank you kindly. And with so many people in attendance, I am going to move us along towards answering some of the audience questions as well. However, what we do, and this answers one or two of the questions that I can see coming through as well, we just want to touch on the employer projects because they are such a point of difference. So course 1, data analytics for business, course 2, data analytics for Python, course 3, advanced analytics for organizational impact. Combining then all of the learning outcomes into a live employer facing project. I'll start with Eleonora again, because you've actually finished the project. So firstly, what's the structure of it? What does it look like, and who was yours with?
Sorry, could you please say it again?
Yes, certainly. So the employer project, how is it structured? How do you interact with each other? And who was your project with?
Yes, basically, you're going to be assigned to a team from your peers, and I was so happy Forthref just put me with the right people. So they are going to observe you, they're going to observe your path during the course, and also you are going to tell them how much you want to dedicate in terms of hours and what you want to do. Like, for example, this is going to be a very important project because I want to put it on my portfolio. I need it to be a highlight. So you're going to put more effort in that. There will be teams that don't really need it. So everyone has different needs, and those are going to be assessed. Then, together with your team, you will choose which employer, which project you're going to work on. And we chose, in the end, it was a business problem. It was a very hands-on project with Zumo. I cannot really go into detail because I sign an NDA. But this is like, it is an automotive B2B and B2C company that's, let's say, gives long-term rentals to delivery drivers. And they gave us our data to help them build a feature that in their app. So I think I cannot say more than this.
Yes, exactly. And look, I think that's a really good point. It is also indicative of the nature in which we're dealing with industries, real circumstances, possibly challenges, but data as well. So there are often the needs for that NDS to be a part of that, of a project piece. It's not uncommon, and thank you for obviously honouring that. I guess my final question in relation to that, if you can answer it, how big are the data sets that we're talking about when we deal with these industry projects, Eleonora, or that industry project in broad terms? Was it a big data project?
It was a big data project. Like,
yes. Okay,
I had, because like our team was more towards data scientists, like, but because of how our minds work together. But the other employee was ThoughtWorks, and that was much a broader project. And because it is, let's say, so the data they've collected are open source, so you could absolutely display and do whatever you wanted to do. If I remember well, the ThoughtWorks was about, yes, the London mayor wanting to assess something about the data of still rental bikes or something like that. I don't remember well. Yeah.
That was a really interesting project. So the City of London, Transport for London, had the goal of 80% of traffic within the London CBD either using foot, bicycle, or public transport by 2041, I think it was. But the measurement of the progression towards that was proving challenging, and that's what the students worked on, was the data sets around progression towards that target, which is a great, meaningful, impactful opportunity that they had, and ThoughtWorks have been a great supporter of the program, not only during the design, but as an employer partner and industry partner moving on. Adrienn, you've started a project only relatively recently. Can you share who you're doing that with?
Very recent. Actually, we just had the kickoff yesterday. We also had two. We could choose from two: Agent 3 and ThoughtWorks. And I got Agent 3, which then today we got all the info and data. So it's actually very, very new. So I hardly got to it to really get my arms around it. It's something around mortgages in the US and advertising channels. So, which is for me quite new. I don't have really much background in it, but that's what I like about it, because probably I will learn a lot more than ThoughtWorks, because ThoughtWorks was something I could relate to, I think, with my background more. Yeah. But there were too many applications there, so we ended up with my team at Agent 3, which then will be very new to me, but because of that, I'm looking forward to it, because I will learn a lot.
That's brilliant, and that's the diverse nature of the learning outcomes, stretching yourself. And I guess if you're in an interview for a role in the future, rather than the traditional answer to the question, what was your university program like, and saying, well, it was great, I met some good people and I got X% on my exam, to relay not only the practical nature and have the evidence in a practical portfolio to back that up, but relay an inspiring story of your industry project, is going to be not only a much more powerful demonstration of your value to that organisation, we feel, but an inspiring story is memorable in an interview sense as well. And I'm sure that will hold you in great stead in getting the roles that you so desire. Okay, I'm going to not only open up questions, I can see so many questions in the Q&A box. So let's get through some of them. And please, a reminder to everyone, pop your question in the Q&A box. Feel free to upvote questions, because I'll try and filter them accordingly. But let's get through some of them. I may have already answered, or we may have already answered, and I'll skip over them. But and if there are any questions that are specifically relating to one attendee as an individual, and I can see someone mentioning they've been away for 2 weeks. In fact, I'll answer that now. It depends on the 2 weeks you're away. So what I do recommend is you do please book a time with your enrolment advisor, because they'll be able to work out with the delivery team. If it's 2 weeks in the middle of the program, I'd suggest it would be challenging. If it's at the commencement, or if it's split during the 1 week off between the courses, then it may be possible. It doesn't support visas at the moment, but again, it might be a specific requirement or opportunity to discuss that with your enrolment advisor. Okay, we've got one here. Well, as far as I understand that this program gives a coverage of the comprehensive framework for data analytics, but if I want to pursue myself in a direction to be more specific, would that be the right program for me? Would either of you like to attempt to answer that one? I think what that's saying is, this is an umbrella learning opportunity to cover a lot of not only the technical aspects of data analytics, but the visual presentation thereafter, but also the business application. If someone's looking to go hyper-specific into an area, does this support that?
Yeah, I didn't really understand the question. Like how specific? Like a specific industry?
I think or it might be a comprehensive data analytics. I want to pursue myself in a direction to be more specific. If whoever can type that question, elaborate on that down below. We might come back to that one in the interests of time. Okay, we have one here. Is it expected that students already have a degree of familiarity with programming in any other language covered in the courses? I'll leave that up to yourself, actually, Adrienn, first, and I might elaborate slightly on one aspect.
The answer is no. I didn't have any background in Python or in R or in SQL, and I got very nice grades there. And so it is really about your commitment. You don't need anything. It's really well explained, both in the material. There are always like explanations of the specific topic as well as video. So it's written as well as video explanation. So it is very well explained. Without background, you can get through.
The only caveat I would put on that, and that's brilliant, and you're a prime example of that too, is you had that Excel experience coming into the commencement of the program, and were quite adept. If anyone can think of intermediate Excel skills and especially pivot tables, we don't necessarily, and you've got time, obviously, even with onboarding to be coached and learn that, but it is an important skill to learn or have prior to commencing the intermediate Excel skills, because we don't want people to commence the course and start learning Excel rather than hitting the ground running and learning the skills thereafter. Anything to add there, Eleonora?
Yeah, I had zero literally previous experience. Like Adrienn is so much more experienced in Excel than me. I didn't even know how to do a pivot table. That's zero. And then yes, you're going to go deep into SQL too. That's something I forgot to mention earlier, and which I personally loved. You're going to learn how to build a database, how to manage a database. And yes, I remember the day I started programming in Python because it was my birthday. It was the 3rd of June, and now I do everything in Python, like easily. So from zero to the star.
I love that. That's such a great example, and inspiring that, I guess it's daunting for some too, and it's a great question around that. So what I will move on to is a question from Joshua here. How relevant is the course to someone who's intending to pivot into a role that deals with both data analysis and consultancy? I think there's some great examples of not only our previous learners, but two here that are either advancing or changing already. But there's a second part to that question. Is it sufficient, or are there recommendations to take up professional certificates? Tell me, again, with Adrienn, with your interest that you've garnished or had already on LinkedIn, you touched on it earlier. How much weighting does the university, in this case, obviously LSE, have in terms of attracting potential employers?
There is one thing to it. In LinkedIn, I think is more also the skills, the tools what we have learned, and yes, LSE the number, but it's also what I learned via the career coaching that they were really, really good in to help me how to update my profile, how to update my CV, how to update the LinkedIn profile in order to get that recruiters will find me. So yes, the tools and the LSE program, and when I mentioned, R, Python, and SQL that I now know, they are all helping me, but it's also the career coaching help to how to update my profile. That is it looking now. That helped me to be more successful in LinkedIn.
Brilliant, and we're so proud to be partnering with LSE. Employers rank them 99.5, one of the highest universities in the world in terms of the employability skills of their graduates and so forth. So we find that brilliant. And there's another question relating to that we've just touched on, compared to, I guess, capstone projects from other programs. I won't mention the other programs, but they're generic. They're the same for everyone, and they're not necessarily live employer-facing projects. They're, here's an example with X computer company or software company. How would you approach this scenario? Whereas this is focused around the industry networks that are built through that employer partner project. But also, you know, obviously they're looking for talent, and there's been examples of students obtaining roles of that as well. Moving along to another couple of questions, if we can. Meg's asked about the payment plans. Yes, Meg, in relation to your specific question, you can, again, please book a time with your enrolment advisor and they'll be able to sort all of that out. So I'm just looking at the next question. Is the course reasonably possible for someone who does not have a background knowledge in data mathematics, which the guests appear to have? What should someone do in preparation for this course if they are lacking knowledge? Is there onboarding enough for someone from scratch? Stuart, thank you for that question. It's a really, really good one. So long as you know Excel or can learn Excel, which most people can, obviously, with the tools that are available to you over the next 4 or 5 weeks before the actual learning commences, then yes. Eleonora actually mentioned she had 0. So I think that's been answered, and it's a really, really good question to go over as well. Nick's asked, will the learning of Python and R on the course be sufficient? Hang on, I just lost that. For using through skills in a commercial environment. Eleonora, if you can answer that one, will the learning of Python and R on the course be sufficient in a commercial environment?
Yes, I was absolutely confident in using both languages when doing the employer project, and so confident I could switch between them.
Perfect. The whole idea of partnering with industry and designing the content is exactly for that reason, to ensure that the return on investment learners have is that it is industry relevant. We would love nothing more than employers to say to new hires or people being promoted, wow, they, instead of the old adage of, didn't you learn that at university? There's always the opportunity of employers now saying, wow, they taught you that at university, and that's why the content is designed not only with the best academics, but also with industry as well. We have a question here around the modality of the assignments, given that it's mostly on work, mostly online. How does a course enable you to network with each other? Who'd like to answer that one?
I can start. So yes, everything is online, but we have tasks and projects in between. So not only after every course there is a project, but in between there are peer reviews, they call them, and small group assignments when you are tasked to work together with the others, with your teammates, to finish small projects. And then the end, of course, the employer project when you work together. As well as on top of it, we also had a WhatsApp group where you can work together. And I know I'm not located in London, and in my team, 80% of the people were from London. And I know that they sometimes go together in the London University Library, and they work together. So that was possible. For me, it's not, because I'm not located in London. But there is many opportunities to network with your fellow students.
Brilliant. The interactions throughout the learning, not only in those live sessions weekly, but on the forum, the community discussion, did you find that engaging and of benefit?
Yes, very much. There is also a community center where we can post any questions, technical questions or organizational questions, anything, which is very helpful because the facilitators answers, and then knowing the others' questions, I learned also from other people's questions. Oh, yeah, that is why. So it was very useful to get through those as well. It is very useful, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Adrienn, I might just ask if you can move closer to your microphone. I can hear you okay, but one or two mentioned that it was a little bit hard of hearing. I'm going to scroll through a few more questions here. How did you manage to fit, I guess both your circumstances are a little different, but how did you manage to juggle the commitments of study whilst managing family or work and other things in life as well?
You need to have great time management skills. It's going to be challenging. If you're going, like, you want to reach a certain goal, you're going to need to spend time and invest on yourself and on your knowledge. I did have a life during those 9 months, absolutely, but I was working. So it is going to be like you are going to have those hours. And for me, I talk specifically about me because I started from zero. To me, it was about 30 hours per week because I needed to go deeper into certain topics, most than others. There are people who know this stuff already, and yes, it's going to be probably 20 or maybe less hours per week. Yes, so it really also depends on how much time you have to spend on it. I would say that with 20 weeks per hour, you're going to get good results.
That's brilliant. And it is a commitment, but I mean, the tangible outcomes of accelerating one's career and having that skill set to have the confidence of doing so, it does dovetail really nicely into someone who's at a managerial level and has great knowledge of SQL and visualization tools, but not of Python so much. And I'm not sure about R. Would there be the added value of this course on their CV? I guess, would that help them grow their career from a managerial perspective, already having known SQL and Tableau, I take it?
Adrienn maybe is better suited to answer to this question.
I believe all of these add in your resume, but I also learned the more program you have on your resume, the companies see that you are very much able to adopt and learn new technologies very easily. The more program you know, they know, the company knows that the easier you will learn another one that they have available. So I would say, yeah, all of these are very, very useful. What I would add about your previous question is that I was lucky enough to be to follow this course outside of work. So I have a career break, so I'm doing it kind of full time. This is my job now, but next to family. So I have small children. So that is also very challenging, but it is about focus. It's about focus and commitment. So if you do that and you commit, you will do this, and this is the most important for you in this period of the time of your life, then that is the most important. And then with focus, you can get through.
That's fantastic, and I completely agree. It's a comprehensive answer to that scenario that many people face. I was going to just get through a couple more. This is your last chance to ask a few questions, and it's been so engaging and great to see so many of the questions. I was just going to ask here, Eleonora, you've completed the program, but is there ongoing support for you in the terms of coaching or engagement with experts, peers, and industry?
Yes. Our cohort had an extra 90-day success plan. So I'm still going to have the career coaching support and the success manager support. So yes, definitely. And there are also these kind of meetings. I don't know when the next one is going to be, but definitely when you're going to graduate, there will be another one hosted at LSE so that the cohorts can meet. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to build a network. And these are professionals who work already on data analytics and want to advance their career. So if your company is sponsoring you this course, just go for it. It's the right investment. And the connections they're going to build are going to be probably lifelong lasting. So I've never met Adrienn. Yeah, this is the first time, but I'm sure I will. And yes, there are also these kind of aggregating events online. It's all about sharing the network, and you know.
And we have more of that coming up. That's brilliant, and that was for our attendee that's moving from Singapore to Australia shortly. We do have success managers in Australia, so yes, absolutely. The crux there is also the coaching can be somewhat tailored. So, for example, if you're a career changer, it may be a case of back-ending some of your coaching sessions toward the end of the program, or even potentially beyond, to ensure that you embed the learning first, build the confidence to apply for the roles, then obtain the value of the coaching when going through that process. If it's an advancer, you may want to just have them scheduled monthly throughout the program, for example, to make the most of any opportunity that comes up. John's asked about returning to IT after a 7-year gap and the plethora of new systems and tools. Would this course be able to bridge the gap and allow me to re-enter at a higher level than just entry? I'll say yes. But I guess, Adrienn, in relation to that specific question, and we've got numerous examples of learner outcomes already, but do you feel that that would be the case, that it's not necessarily just going to enable an entry-level role, but a role of more experience or value than that?
Yeah, definitely. So it's not only for the ones who is just from zero, but who has already an experience, that actually helps. Because then you got even more, better understanding of it, and then you can go even deeper in every tool. So it's not only for people who doesn't have experience, but if you have already, then it helps.
Brilliant. Getting through another couple of last questions, and we're going to then ask for your top tips. Juggling this with work, although work is going to sponsor Zavi, they've asked, is it better to spend 4 hours a day every day on the course, or ring the fence with 2 or 3 days for study? It's completely up to you, because it is designed to fit in with you more so than you fit in with university. So with your success manager, you will design a study map, so to speak, and ensure, and their role is to obviously assist you to ensure that you stick to that. But if everyone did a few hours a day and extra hours on the weekend, some people do have the time to take a day off per week and study in blocks. I think it suits your own learning style too. And many people, once they're on a roll, find it a lot easier to block out that. But as Eleonora and Adrienn said earlier, it's that time management that is so crucial. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really challenging to come home from work, to have dinner, to put the kids to bed and whatever, and just slump down and think about Netflix. In my experience, if you get up and start, you won't go to bed then thinking, I should have done more today, or I should have done that assignment or whatnot. Because if you start, you may do a paragraph, you may read one research paper, whatever it is, you've made some progress. And once you're in the rhythm, you might do more. Other days, you'll actually get up from the couch or whatever it may be and start and think, you know what? No, today's not the day. I'm going to set aside time tomorrow. But at least you won't then regret not giving it a go each day or when suits you. So that's my tip in terms of arranging that study pattern, and it becomes a pattern as well that you'll get into. Don't get me wrong, there's sacrifices. It's an intensive program for the benefits that we've outlined. There's sacrifices to be made, but sometimes a sacrifice like a Netflix series over a course of 6 months is well worth it when you get the career outcomes that this does provide. Yes, there's a question regarding recruitment agencies. Yes, we do partner with recruitment agencies, and there's a great deal of demand for people, and we've got more coming up on that very, very shortly for both current and former students. There's not an in-person option, although there are in-person events that we host and the students arrange organically as well. We've got some quick questions around salary estimates. In relation to that, we do have information on that, and it's Meg there that's asked that question. I think if anyone would like to volunteer an answer to that question, please go ahead. But we've got a lot of information when researching the programs. What I need to know, Meg, though, is it entry level that you're after, or advancing and things like that? But in high demand and well-paid roles, I think it's suffice to say. moving right along, I think that will do for the questions that we have from the audience. If there's time for one or more at the end, we shall do it. But as we've only got a few moments, and thank you for so many people for staying so long in this, there will be a recording distributed once we upload this to YouTube. Please, the one thing that we do need to stress is the importance of having a discussion with your enrolment advisor. They are fully not only experienced in guiding your decision, and look, sometimes if it's not for you, they'll let you know that. They're not sales, hungry in terms of pushing. They'll actually be upfront and honest. They'll ask a lot of questions in the discovery phase to ensure the value aligns with your intended outcome. Lastly, there will be some feedback on the event, post-event, that we'll ask you to do. So please, we're always looking to improve not only the course, but also these webinars as well. Bringing me to my last question of our guests, and thanking you also, I would love you to, I guess, finish up with a top tip. If you've got any tips for people that are considering enrolling or aren't sure of the benefits, what would you suggest that they do? Adrienn.
What I would suggest to do is more for the career coaching. For me, that was really a bonus. I didn't expect, and I didn't know that there would be a career coaching that you would like guide you through. What I would suggest is that you really take that opportunity. They're really, really good to give you tips all around the resume. Every verse they would check in the resume and really rewrite with you. And the LinkedIn profile, they really do, for instance, interviews, like test interviews with you. So grab that opportunity, because I hear that sometimes people don't do, and that take that opportunity, because that's really valuable.
Brilliant. Thank you kindly. That's sage advice. Eleonora, any last tips for our attendees?
Top tips is like check on Glassdoor, LinkedIn, any portal, what are the entry-level salaries and how this differs from country to country. For example, in UK is something, in the US is much higher. And course-wise, don't be afraid to make questions. Be strategic. You don't need to know everything, absolutely. But you need to keep the pace. So when you see that you're stuck, just ask and they will help you and you'll move on. And if you want to prepare for a course, a book I found really, really helpful is from this British statistician who is called Spiegelhalter. And the book is Statistics in Numbers. And it has this, I think it's from Penguin Publishing. And it has this light blue cover with a lot of yellow and red dots. So even a nice visualization. Statistics in numbers. That's it.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's great advice as well. Lastly, applications will close next week for the 30th. So you do still have time to not only book a time with your enrolment advisor, but also to get the necessary documents in place for your application. I'd like to thank once again our esteemed guests in Adrienn and Eleonora. You've been so insightful and hopefully have inspired others to follow in your path, either having some experience in refreshing it for the future or having little experience in making that career change. Thank you ever so kindly for your time. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. We look forward to hopefully welcoming and supporting you on your learning journey and then following your journey for the successful outcomes that will follow. It's been great to have you. Have a wonderful day.